Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And this was the go-home show before NXT TakeOver Chicago. And I gotta say, it was a weird go-home show because I know you can't really promote every match, I guess, at the time they got, because they also wanted to push forward new content, like two relatively new women to the NXT roster, or those that aren't really heavily promoted, and other stuff. But, I mean, they were able to promote some matches, and in particular, the main event, I feel like got some really nice shine tonight, got me even more invested in it. So I think this, I would describe this go-home show for me personally as moderately successful. I don't think it was anything really to write home about. I had fun with it. But, they didn't promote every match, but I think the ones that really needed that final push, they got it. And so, I would color it a moderate success. What did you think, partner?
Yeah, I think to me, this was a very solid episode of NXT, but it was a very underwhelming takeover go-home show.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice way of putting that.
Because to me, if you just put this episode of NXT in a vacuum, and if you did a stack ranked list of every episode of NXT from best to worst, this would probably be in the 50, 60, 70th percentile, somewhere above average, but not great. But then at the same time, if you look at it as, well, this is the go-home show, this is their last chance to make people want to tune in to see TakeOver Chicago, I definitely feel like they could have done a lot better there.
Yeah, I really do have to agree with you there. I think you articulated kind of my reservations about tonight's episode pretty well. With that said, do you have any other preliminary remarks you want to make?
I'm good. Let's get into our first segment.
Heat of the night, and I've got no heats of the night tonight. I really enjoyed this show on the whole. Not really too many complaints. I may have one or two nitpicks, but I really can't even think of any of those right now. So I'm just going to field it over to you, partner. Do you have any heats of the night or nitpicks tonight?
Man, it's hard to say. I don't think I have any major problems with this show, but there are a couple of notes, I guess you could say, that I have that I think could have been improved upon. So rather than saying that I have a nitpick or hate of the night, let's just get into it, and I'll bring up some of the stuff that I think needs work when we get to it.
All right, sounds good to me, man. With that said, let us get right into our NXT review. And partner, how do we open this baby up?
With a Bobby Roode sort of, I don't even know what to call it. It was just Bobby Roode entering the arena, I guess, being a dick. I don't know. You explain it.
Yeah, I mean, that was essentially it. Bobby Roode, came into the arena, seemed like he had a sense of purpose. We would find out what that purpose was later in the show, kind of at an awkward point, because we all thought we were ready to go home, and then they're like, oh, wait, no, there's more. So, yeah, that happened. And like you said, Bobby Roode, he's a dick, but that's just kind of how he's always been. So, any other thoughts on this segment?
No, but then we get into the arena, and we immediately get into our first match of the night, which is Drew McIntyre versus Sean Maluta.
What did you think about this match?
It was all right. It was, nothing special. It was okay. It was just kind of an exhibition for McIntyre, really.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty much all this was. If you turn on the TV and you're like, now wait a minute, is that Drew McIntyre? First of all, yes. And then second of all, you get reacclimated to him because his repertoire is a bit different from his first run. So,
and then third of all, how are you watching this on TV? I thought it was a network exclusive.
That is very true. Very true, but you get my point nonetheless. I really like the headbutt spot. That I feel like was sick as hell. When he did that, I'm like, oh, you could cover him right now. He's done.
Yeah, I noticed, though, that even during the headbutt spot, there was something going on where he had a cut either under or above or both his eye. I'm curious what you think caused that to happen.
I think it was Maluta's forearm. Because I know he got a forearm to McIntyre, which preceded that headbutt, and I think maybe he hit him stiff. I don't know, but yeah. It's funny because this is the second time now in a McIntyre match, because the first one was Oney Lorcan. I don't know if Oney Lorcan had the color in that match or if that was Drew again. But yeah, second time he's had like color in his matches, whether it's him or his opponent. But he does win with the six style Yakuza kick, as Nigel described it. And yeah, Drew continues his dominance, man. He's quickly ascending those ranks. I wouldn't be surprised if by next takeover, he's the one challenging whoever the champion is. So good stuff.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. All right. So then obviously Drew won with his like sick kick variation. I think they call it a Yakuza kick, but I mean, if you couldn't call Sami Zayn's finisher a Yakuza kick, why the hell can't you call Drew McIntyre? Or why can you call Drew McIntyre's finish that? I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe they just like Drew more. Maybe they just want to really make it seem like, oh yeah, this guy's a real badass, because he just kind of exudes that with his presence and everything. And maybe they're just like, oh, Sammy, you're just so adorable. So yeah, I don't know, but it is what it is. Drew has a.
They should call it like the Claymore kick.
There you go. I like that.
Because the Claymore was the weapon that William Wallace was known to use, and that's like the big Scottish deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, his theme already has like the Scottish bagpipes and everything, so they really are playing up his Scottish roots. Why not really commit? So I do like that idea.
Just make him the Scottish answer to Sheamus, basically.
Yeah, and he has a post-match promo. Pretty much, I think, who was it? Like Dasha or whatever her name is. Asked, how do you feel about Wesley Blake? And he said, I'm not bothered by it at all. I'd be more bothered if nobody was taking notice, including Wesley Blake. But if he wants my attention, then how about next week I give him my full undivided attention, pretty much laying down the gauntlet for a match. Later on in the night, it would be confirmed. So on the post-Takeover Chicago episode of NXT, which we won't be reviewing, if I'm not mistaken, because that's how our format works. But it will be McIntyre versus Wesley Blake. So, yeah, going to be an interesting match.
Apparently, McIntyre's kick is already called the Claymore? I don't know.
Oh, okay. So anything you want to add about his promo, or just want to move on?
I mean, the promo is pretty generic, unfortunately.
Right.
Oh my god, it is called a Claymore! What? How did I not know that?
Well, at least you guys had the same thought process of Scottish roots and all that.
I know, that's crazy. Wow, I didn't know that, and I came up with it all on my own. Talk about parallel thinking. Okay, wow. Anyway, so yeah, they're setting up for a match between Drew and Wesley Blake next week, which, I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, and yeah, we will watch it, but we're not reviewing that show just because, again, he doesn't really try to do anything interesting the month or so after the end of an NXT TakeOver special. So, yeah, I already kind of ran down what shows we won't be covering on Lucha Rewatch, but just in case you missed it, well, we won't be covering the next 4 episodes of NXT. So that's May 24th, May 31st, June 7th, and June 14th. No NXT TWitWows on those days, but it's okay, guys, because on May 31st, which means you'll only have to go one Wednesday without a really late night TWitWow review, Lucha Underground returns, and that makes everything better. So that should be a lot of fun. But then we got the recap of Hideo winning the number 1 contendership over Roddy last week. And then we actually got to see, apparently, something that we didn't see on television last week or on the network last week. Roddy got attacked by Sanity.
Yes, I had heard about that, and I went back and I watched the YouTube clip. Should be a very interesting match at TakeOver Chicago. Roddy versus Young. I think that should actually be a very solid match for them to have. So
if it wasn't for the tag title match, that would be the match of the night candidate to me.
Yeah, because I think that tag title match is going to own, but we'll really give our full in-depth thoughts tomorrow when we do TakeOver Chicago preview and predictions.
That's right, son.
I do think this is a very impressive late edition, especially considering that it seems like the Velveteen Dream may not be debuting at TakeOver Chicago,
I mean, they haven't announced it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah, but historically, though, dude, they do announce.
Oh no, dude, you're right. I'm not saying that it's
Right.
I'm not saying it's definitely happening. I'm just saying, as unlikely as it may be, I'm not writing it off completely.
And that's the smart thing to do, because you never know with WWE. But regardless, I am just putting that out there, like our rundown. It's looking like a pretty solid card. Like on paper, this really is looking like a like 8, maybe even an 8.5 out of 10 kind of show. Will it execute up to that standard? We'll see. But I'm definitely down with the addition of Strong versus Young. I think that'll be a solid bout for sure.
Yeah, probably. They always are. And I feel like that's the 5th match on the card, and 5 is usually the amount of matches that are on an NXT TakeOver card, so that probably fills it out. We probably won't get another one after that, right?
Right, exactly.
So, Roddy and Eric Young is a thing. We get a throwback to William Regal's introduction of Kenta, a.k.a. Tommy, and his brawl with the Ascension, which is cool. And then we got, or actually, you know what? Did you want to say anything about the kind of throwback?
Well, just the running theme of them, I really liked it because I think it gave an additional gravity to the title match that before I think we all kind of brought to it ourselves, being Hideo Itami fans. But it's nice for the actual product to bring that gravity forward. So I very much welcome these throughout the night.
Yeah. So then we got a recap of the UK tournament, and specifically through the scope of Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, the guys who are going to be facing each other on Saturday for the UK title.
Yeah, I really like these because they were updated. It's going to be a treat for me because I think, as most of you know, I really barely watched any of the United Kingdom Championship Tournament. I watched maybe like a third of day one, and I didn't even finish day one. So, yeah, very little. And, of course, I didn't see these two face off. So their second matchup for everybody else is going to be the first matchup for me, viewership-wise. And I'm looking forward to that, though, because I'll be able to really look at these guys as in terms of them going against each other with fresh eyes. And, yeah, it should be a fun match. And very creative of NXT to have a UK championship match on this card, because usually they only have 3 championship matches, and those are their standard titles. But now we got a little treat with the UK title on the line.
I mean, is it really creative, or is it more just lazy and desperate? Because they couldn't fill out the entire card, so they're just like, you know what, fine, throw the UK guys on there and we'll fill it out.
Well, I don't really know if any of our word choices work. I think the best word that I really should have used would be convenient. It's convenient that they have those pieces in place.
That's why I said lazy, though, because it's like, okay, well, you're not really going to have to put effort into actually booking or writing your way into a 5th match. You just kind of sit back and rest on your laurels.
Right, I can understand that. And I do wish this had a bit more like contemporary stuff going on other than, oh man, he beat me in the tournament finals, but now I've earned my way back. I mean, it's a simple enough story and it works. I'm just saying with the kind of character that Pete Dunne is, I wish that maybe he could have been a bit more, villainous, a bit more cruel-hearted, to kind of get here and really stick it to Tyler Bate. Because it's one thing to compete for a championship, but it'd be another thing if it's just like, I don't like your face, and I like hurting people, and you do a little something with that. But, it is what it is. I think it'll be a solid bout with these guys. But again, we'll really get into predictions and all that stuff tomorrow. What came after this?
After this, we had a sort of, just the ad bumper stuff that they do where we're going into an ad and they're just like, oh guys, we're getting Ono versus CN tonight, it's gonna be awesome. And then when they come back, it's the Velveteen Dream vignette, which we've already seen a couple times, so we don't really have much to add there. Just remember, guys, 23 years old, 6'3", athletic, charismatic, the performer himself has all the upside in the world. Just hope this Velveteen Dream gimmick doesn't drag him down. I hope he makes the most of it. So unless you want to add to that, we can move on.
No, I think you said it perfectly for both of us. Let's move on.
Roddy Strong versus Eric Young is made official, and we get news of that. Obviously, it means Regal heard about it and okayed it. And then we get this really weird, awkward Asuka, Joe Coquina Clutch chokehold, air quotes, interview from Asuka, where she doesn't actually answer any questions and then ends the interview prematurely.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, how do you feel about your challengers? Next question. You upset that Ember wasn't in this match, or you relieved that Ember isn't in this match. Next question. And then asks another question. Is this interview over? Yes. And then like she leaves, she like gets like her phone out, seems to be like posing with fans. But then when she gets out of reach of them, she seems like she groans. So like they're even saying like, oh yeah, she smiles and positive for the fans, you know, because they're gonna line her pockets. But she just really doesn't care for anybody because she's the sun goddess and we're all a pack of plebs. And I mean, she's not wrong, but you don't have to be such a jerk about it. So yeah, I guess an interesting segment. I was actually kind of hoping, to be honest, even though I know it wouldn't have made any sense because Asuka is heelish, and I guess like yeah, it would be like a 2-to-1 ratio as far as like heels and baby faces in this match with Ruby being the only baby face. But I was kind of hoping Nikki Cross would like jump her or something, just like out in the open, just do some kind of like crazy attack. But again, I know how unsound that is, you know, 2 heels. But yeah, for what it was, I guess it wasn't bad. I was cool with it.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole thing is just Asuka is this like miserable cunt of a human being, but then when she gets in front of the fans, it's like, oh yeah, Asuka, hooray! And then as soon as she is out of their vision, she's just like, oh, disgusting.
Exactly.
So then we get our second match of the night: Lacey Evans versus Sonya Deville, and I gotta tell you, I like these two as performers, as prospects, as potential future stars. But right now, Lacey needs a lot of work. I think Sonya is closer to ready. But at the end of the day, both of them need very different gimmicks.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've felt this critical of somebody because Lacey, I don't know. To me, it still feels like she's trying to find herself and navigate through the waters. When it comes to Sonya, here's the thing. I have no problem with her personally, but there is just something about her gimmick and her portrayal of it that just seems like the kind of stuff if you were to use a template in a wrestling video game creating your own wrestler, like she's that template because they even have like boxing motions for entrance and this and that. And I'm just like, man, and that's another thing. Like, I don't know. I just felt really weird watching this because when Sonya came out and she's doing like the punches as part of the entrance, I'm like, okay, now to me, it seems like you're trying too hard to sell it.
Exactly.
Like, I was kind of like,
that was like the ultimate example of like show don't tell. Like we get it. You have an MMA background. Don't rub it in our faces. Just let it show in the match.
And see, I was thinking the same thing because I was even visualizing like, okay, if I was approached by a woman with this gimmick, like how would I construct the entrance? And to be honest, like I like the hood. I love the theme actually. I think the theme actually works. It was one of my favorite things about her in this thing.
Yeah.
But I'd have her walk her head down, not make any contact, ascend the steps, don't even smack them like she did. Just make a very quiet, like calm kind of ascent. Then make eye contact with your opponent. And if you want to put up even a stance, I'm cool with that. But I'd even keep your arms at your side. Just sell
I had
that
the exact same thought. Somebody with that legit MMA background, you can't have them do all this over the top, like animated movements. They need to have an aura. They need to have a mystique about them. And she, as soon as she starts flinging her arms out there, like, yeah, it's impressive, but there's nothing that makes me feel like, oh man, there's something really different about this girl. It's just, oh, she thinks she's a boxer now. Okay.
Yeah, like to me, when Sonya's doing all of this, it feels more imitation rather than authentic.
Well, and that's what's horrible because she is a legit a former MMA fighter. She has that background.
Exactly. And look, I'm cool with bringing up the record and everything like Nigel did, but show me that record in the ring. Show me how you got that record. You don't have to go and like punch the air and all that stuff because like I get it. I should be able to piece it together with how you work in the ring. If anything, and again, maybe it's me being overly critical of the small stuff, but I just felt critical watching her for whatever reason. I felt like it was kind of insulting. Like, oh, they're too stupid to get it. So I'm going to do these animations so that they know what exactly I am. But we can piece it together. I like the MMA-esque stuff she incorporates in there. I don't know. I feel like it needs a better flow in some ways. Like when she did that spear at one point, I thought it was going to be like a takedown maybe into like these vicious mount punches, but she really didn't do anything. Like she posed like for a second and then went into the cover. I'm like, no, I think you need to kind of up the aggression on this. I'd like if she had a submission finish. Like the Shining Wizard didn't look bad, but I feel like if you're going to do this whole MMA thing, really commit. Get like an armbar or a guillotine choke or something. Like, I don't. That again, that's just me. But yeah, I think the only reason I'm focusing so much on Sonya is because I do see something there. Lacey, again, I can't even really comment too much. It seems like she's still kind
To
of
me,
navigating
like with
waters.
Lacey, there's obviously a look that's going to take her far. And I don't think she's horrid in the ring, but she definitely has a long way to go. I'm not really sure why they're choosing to have her be in TV matches already. She seems more like the type that you would want doing the NXT house shows around Florida, like that crew.
Right.
But then with Sonya, like, I see something in her. Like, I don't think she's a big time star yet, but there's definitely something to her, and especially like in the ring. And it's weird because very rarely do I praise somebody who's only been wrestling for 2 years for their in-ring work over their character work or their, that kind of stuff. Because normally when somebody's kind of that natural, that prodigy, the first thing that I give them credit for is, well, they need work in the ring, but they're a good talker or they're a good character worker or I love this or that or their gimmick or whatever. But to me, like, I think that her ring work was really shining because it's I don't know if it's just because of her MMA experience, but it seems like she has a really good grasp of like spacing and that kind of stuff. And yeah, man, I thought that her sort of display as far as in-ring goes was way more impressive to me than I expected it to be, given that she's only been doing this for a couple of years now. But they need to tone down on the over-the-top, like, oh, I'm going to shadow box. And yeah, and another thing is she needs to not smile when she wins. I understand she might be a babyface, but I feel like she could be a female Goldberg, and she's like, she's doing all this over-the-top stuff. Like, even with Goldberg, he would throw 1 or 2 punches shadow box style on his way to the ring. It wasn't this like big series of like, oh, I'm Rocky, I'm gonna punch a punching bag that's not even there.
Plus, he choreographed that with pyro. Like, I feel like
Right,
it was part
yeah,
aesthetic.
yeah,
Like,
that too, definitely, yeah. That's the thing too. Is like, I that's the thing though. I think they could make a bit like when there was a certain point in this match when I said, you know what, they could probably build her up and make her credible enough that she could be the one to beat Asuka.
I'd see what I was saying. I'm really glad we're having this discussion because, like, when you said things like female Goldberg and stuff, that resonated because if they'd get the presentation down
Yeah.
and they'd get the character down, like refining the things that we've already talked about, dude, I'm envisioning in my mind Billy and Peyton, the iconic duo, having this run with the NXT Women's Championship, and they are just snide and bullyish and everything. And then you hear that music hit, maybe the theme would even change at that point, and like she's ready to hand these two their asses. Like I could see that getting a big pop if Sonya succeeds. I already see a story there where she's taking heels that maybe have been resting on their laurels, that are brazen, that are this and that, and she introduces them to humility the hard way. And I think that's great. When you say Asuka, sure, I could buy that because I think Asuka needs a kind of mirror image to beat her at this point with how aggressive and how physical she is. And yeah, if they could get Sonya right and if she would get enough experience, I mean, that's why I was so critical because Lacey, I really have nothing to say, but with Sonya, I do see something there like you do. It's just, man, the things that I feel are wrong, I would really like to see get corrected. So I'll be very interested in her development because I know they keep talking about like a new women's division, these new women coming in. And you have to figure when Asuka loses that championship and then she loses her obligatory rematch, like the floodgates are going to open up to me in contendership because nobody else, even as good as like Ember Moon and Iconic Duo and all of them are, they don't have that level of credibility. It really will be like a level playing field to me. So it's going to be very interesting how the hierarchy kind of falls after that point. But yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eye on Sonya for sure.
Yeah, because like to me, like you look at Goldberg and he was very green when they gave him the green light push. Like he knew enough to do some things in the ring, but there was still a lot to be desired there, which I'm saying about Sonya now. Like she's got some things down for sure. There's still something to be desired, but I mean, they gave Goldberg the green light push before he was ready. They could give Sonya the green light push now, and she could be like the biggest star that NXT has ever produced. And notice I didn't specify a gender there. I said straight up, she could be the biggest star NXT's ever produced. And there are a lot of reasons for that. First of all, she's got a great look. I think she is, she's a good-looking girl. She's attractive. She rocks the cornrows, which gives her something different that not a lot of people can make work. She also has the MMA background, which immediately tells you, like, yes, she has credibility. She's like, you can buy her winning a real fight because she's already literally done it. And, putting her against women that don't have that credibility, like, yeah, Vince loves that about people when they have that legit credibility. Like, that's why freaking Del Rio got pushed for as long as hard as he did. But then also, let's not forget, we found out on Tough Enough that she's gay. And the WWE has been talking about, like, yeah, we need to, or well, they haven't been talking about, but Dirt Sheets have been talking about how WWE is going to go through this concerted effort to start portraying more gay and bisexual characters. Well, here you freaking go on a silver platter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, there's so little ceiling. Like, there's almost no ceiling for this girl. And I just want her presentation to get better. I don't even think it's on her. It's probably more on, like, I'm sure there are the people are telling her to do this shit. It's not her being like, oh, yeah, and what if I go out there and I shadow box? And if she is, then, well, maybe there's a mistake on her part, and she just needs to know better as far as being in the business. Because, like I said, she's only been in the business for, like, 2 years. But it's probably the people backstage or the writers or the agents or whoever trying to tell her, oh, work some personality into it, even though her personality should just be killer. It shouldn't be like, oh, exactly. I'm going way over the top, and I'm going to shadow box all the way to the ring, and then when I get in the ring, I'm going to shadow box some more, and you guys are going to be intimidated, right? Yeah, no, not really. Just be a badass. Stop trying to tell us you're a badass and just be one.
One more question before we move on, because I was very curious about your opinion on this, given that I already vocalized my own. What do you think about the Shining Wizard finish? I mean, are you with me that it should
it was a little bit clunky, but I like the concept. I mean, if she can make it just a little bit smoother as far as the execution goes, I dig it. I think it's great. And again, that Shining Wizard is a move that really does kind of get used by people with that MMA background, so it fits.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, well, we'll see how she does in the future. For now, let's move on. What came after this?
I could roll with it. I mean, yeah, that's a great. Honestly, though, they could also do a submission with her.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like,
yeah.
I feel like, yeah, submission would be great, like a guillotine or a triangle choke or just, something like that. But
I mean, something that we've seen in New Japan working really well for Yoshihashi that isn't really ever used in WWE. Give her a butterfly lock.
Yeah, I mean, that could certainly work, absolutely.
So, all right, I'm glad that we kind of got to talk about these women. I do like what I see from Lacey. She just has a lot more of a path in front of her, a lot longer road to travel than Sonya before I feel like she's fully ready.
Yeah, I really, my biggest thing that I will say about Lacey, because I said nothing about her. One, her background is impressive, being a Marine.
Yeah, former Marine. Yeah, that's huge too.
Two, something, I feel like why I was able to be more critical of Sonya is she has some semblance of a character. I couldn't tell you what Lacey's character is.
Well, they said on commentary that she was the lady of NXT.
Oh, see, now that's an interesting concept if we're talking about this woman who, I don't know, maybe has like etiquette or just whatever, but I want to know what the lady means. Like, I'd like to see more promo stuff, and if she bombs,
I think that's the point, though. I think that like the whole point is them just being like, well, she's this vaguely, classy character, and oh, it's this clash because she comes from the Marines where everyone's getting down and dirty, and now she's all prim and proper. Look, it's a clash, guys. We're clever. Please tell us we're clever. Please clap.
I mean, I'd like them to play with that, though. I hope they do. I mean, I'm very excited for this new wave of NXT female talent. I mean, I don't know how much of these guys will be getting that shine because, remember, Shirai and Hojo wait in the wings. So, but for time being, it's nice to think about these two actually having a future. So we'll see.
Yeah, but once this match was over, and as you said, Sonya won with the Shining Wizard, kind of clunky, but she's fine. She'll work on it. Match 3 was Cassius Ohno versus Andrade Cien Almas. God, I love him.
Oh, he's so good. Oh man, what do you think about this match,
And I
man?
love too that like there were some teases with Nigel on commentary tonight. It was like you could maybe even say he's ingovernable. That means ungovernable. It means he's unruly. It means he can't be controlled. Like yes, they're
He's
going so far to tease those ingobernables, but they're just not pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I mean Nigel has done that before, and I'm glad to see that
Yeah.
he's
Well, I
still
think Idol, or I think Idol. I was getting ready to say either Idol, but yeah, I think he just like talks about things that are said in Andrade's theme song, and you know just brings that up on commentary because he's already said, well, he's El Idolo.
right.
It just sounds so funny coming from a British guy.
So, what do you think about this main event?
Oh, it was good. It was really good. And no, Paul, I will not stop doing accents. You don't get better at something when you don't try. But yeah,
But I
this
thought
was
we
a
were
really
never
good
try.
match.
But
What was
yeah,
that?
I said I thought it was never try for us though. So I don't know. But then again, yeah, I don't
Well,
think.
that applies to other people that aren't in the Scum Squad. I can try all I want, damn it.
Well, there you go. Way to assert yourself there, bud. But you know what though? Like this match proved to me because you had that
Oh,
criticism
by
of
the way, did you
Cassius.
know Cassius Soto was wearing Spanx?
Yes, yes. I was just like, well, you do you, Cassius. But no, what this match really illuminated to me, which really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, because you've had like your criticisms of Cassius on like previous installments of NXT TWitWoW. Like I know the one we really talked about, like his offense, and you're just like, oh, it's kicks, it's forearms, it's pile drivers, like very limited. And even with that limited offense, like Andrade just shows me like he could have a great match with anybody because I
Yes.
really had fun with this main event. And
Because Andrade's in ring work isn't exclusively reliant on his offensive maneuvers. He's such a good character.
exactly, like even with the lockup and stuff, he does the whole Lang bit and like, how are you, bruh? And just like really getting in the head and everything. No, I adore him. I'm still very curious. I won't use concerned yet because I'm not. They really haven't given me a reason to be concerned. But this whole Andrade, he's not focused. He's always looking for the post match, partying with those women and doing all that. Like I'm curious what the payoff to that will be. I'm still hoping that it's just okay. Something happens to him where he gets refocused and then he goes on a tear. Again, my worst fear would be gimmick change, which just leaves me with nightmares. But Cassius does ultimately win this match with the rolling elbow. But I mean, still a great back and forth. I actually thought at one point that Andrade would get the hammerlock DDT because he did get the knees in the corner. Cassius fought out of it. And then that swinging inverted DDT from Andrade off the top rope, though, just gorgeous. So, yeah, Andrade kills it again. That's the reason why he's my favorite NXT act and number 2 overall for me in my top 10. I mean, the guy is just fucking masterful. It's a pity he's not on the TakeOver Chicago card, but I guess next TakeOver he'll be on there, probably jobbing to some new act. Justice for Andrade. But yeah, that was our main event. Do you have any other comments about this match before we get into the non-match stuff that closed?
Man, I just Andrade really just stole the show here to me. I love the tease for going to the knee, the double knees in the corner. I love the slapping of the thighs. I think that's cool. Man, I just want him to win all the time, and he never does anymore, and it kind of kills my soul every time a little bit.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. It hurts. It hurts when you've got a guy that good. And again, like, there's just more talents coming, which I'll be honest, adds
And
to
the
my
thing is, it's
depression.
not even like a Sami Zayn situation where, like, yeah, losing is good because it makes him sympathetic and then people like him because he's a heel. I don't want my heel to be on a losing streak. This is horrible.
Especially a heel that's that good. And again, like with the new acts coming
Yes.
in, because like Kyle O'Reilly, I mean, it's got to be anytime. Adam Cole just finished up. That makes me further dejected because don't get me wrong, I like those guys. It's nothing against them. And if they have the opportunity, I get it, man. Everybody needs bread. But that just to me knocks Andrade further and further down the ladder. And I don't know if you feel the same way, brother. I'd never speak for you, but yeah, I mean, that's another reason why this influx of talent scared me. Not just for Andrade, but for other acts we enjoy. I feel like the hierarchy is constantly being reassessed and restructured. And Andrade, I feel like, never improves in his positioning. It really, really sucks, which I think is one of the major reasons why I wanted him to be on SmackDown Live. I wanted to be excited because we're so close to Money in the Bank now about him potentially being in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And instead, I got to wonder, well, what's the end of this angle of him partying with women and not winning matches? Like, it's not a good place to be. It's very precarious, if I'm really being honest with my feelings. So, whatever.
Oh, man. I got to tell you, you know what? We need to start a new hashtag. Hashtag CN for SDL.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And, I mean, yeah, guys, trend the shit out of that. But alas, we've got to move on. Partner, what came after this?
Bobby Roode comes out and cuts a promo.
What'd you think about his promo?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess, you know, to me, it was a very by the numbers heel promo, but I think it did its job effectively. You know, crowd really did want to see like Hideo beat Rude's ass, and you got to, you know, I'm glad. I will say this: I'm glad Rude brought up that for Hideo, it's just been on again, off again, because I'm here, then I get hurt, then I come back, then I get hurt. And Rude just comes out and says, I forgot he even worked here. So I thought that was a good bit of promo work by Rude, admittedly. Then Hideo comes out and security puts a stop to it. Regal's like, no, Hideo, this is my main event. I want to preserve, like, you know, no contact or whatever. And then Rude's like, yeah, that's right. Totally showed him. Guys, I mean, yeah, he totally knocked me out last time, but this time I showed him his ass, huh? And then Hideo's just like, no, I got to shut his bitch ass up. He tears through security. He tackles Rude, gets a few punches in. Then Rude goes to the outside. Then security again tries to restrain Hideo. Hideo takes all three guards out and gets a GTS on one. On the second one, he looks right at Rude when he delivers the GTS, which honestly I would have closed on that. Personally, I feel like that would have been perfect image to really the final sell for Chicago. But NXT went further. Hideo seemed like he was going to do the same to the third security guard, but because he had his back to Rude, Rude took his chance to kind of attack Hideo. Got maybe like one or two punches in, but then when he tried to do more, Hideo picked him up in the GTS, and he successfully hit him with it. So, yeah, Hideo stands tall on the go-home show, and I have very weird feelings about that. But, again, we'll explore all that on the preview predictions tomorrow. Ashton, do you have any thoughts about this closing segment, you know, now that Hideo came out and did all of his stuff?
Oh, man, I have a lot to say, but all of it has heavy Chicago implications, so I want us to talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. So, with that said, let's get into our next segment, high spots and low shots. God, this fucking pains me, but I guess my low shot's Andrade. One of us has to do it, dude. And I think it should be me. I can handle this. My low shot is Andrade. And on the off chance he does hear this, please don't think that I love you any less, because I adore you and you deserve better.
Low shot is mostly a kayfabe award. We're giving this award to you because of the way that you're portrayed, not because of your actual performance. I'm sorry.
It sucks, especially because the promo that set up this whole match, Cassius was saying, well, you don't seize opportunities, and I'll give you an opportunity. And pretty much everything Cassius said he was going to do, he did. And Andrade, the heel, just continues to slide further down the ladder. And I'm just going to be honest with all you guys. I don't even know if Jarveris is in chat, because I know I've talked about Andrade with him on a few occasions. I do not feel good about his prospects right now at all. Like, to me, it's either SmackDown Live or we're just going to watch him waste away here on NXT, because I really don't have that much faith. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic, and I can admit to that, but it's not a good place. But for now, Andrade's my low shot. Partner, who's your low shot? I know.
Well,
I know.
Man, I don't think anyone really got beaten down except for Bobby Roode, but I can't really make him my low shot because getting beaten down on the go-home show usually means your odds of winning the title match go up, so I can't really do that.
Right.
Can't really make my low shot Sean Maluda because we didn't really have expectations for him. So, I mean, man. We didn't really have. Oh, you know what? Screw it. I'll make my. We already kind of talked about it. I'll make my low shot. Lacey Evans. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's her name. Not because she's awful or anything. Just because we kind of got a glimpse at her skill level tonight, and she still has a long way to go. And kayfabe wise, again, she lost, so that's more important.
Yeah, man, I could certainly agree with that assessment. Moving right along, my high spot. Jeez, what do I even do? You know what? My high spot's Drew McIntyre. The guy's still tearing through everybody. He's got Wesley Blake, which is a kind of mini feud, given that like Wesley Blake, gave him this beef. And I just expect him to just tear through him like everybody else. And yeah, like I said, I think earlier in the show, or it might have been to you in conversation, it is not going to be long until Drew gets in the title picture. So yeah, he's my high spot.
All right. You know what? Screw it. I already made Lacey my low shot. I might as well just make Sonya my high spot. We had a lot positive to say about her. She has some work to do, but she won her match tonight. And the performer, I think, is, got a lot of upside.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Nothing really to add. So unless you have any concluding remarks about NXT, I will take us home.
Take her home, baby.
All right, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please, guys, if you haven't yet, leave that like. Okay, before I go into the other plugs, I will just give you guys a quick rundown for the rest of our week. It is fairly simple. Thursday, we have got TakeOver Chicago preview and predictions. I'm assuming we will be going live at 8 p.m. for that. So that's the most immediate thing you guys have coming. We'll be going live at 8 with those preview and predictions tomorrow. Friday, we have got Backlash preview and predictions. We'll give the runtime and everything like that when we're done. TakeOver Chicago preview and predictions on Thursday. Saturday, TakeOver Chicago live reactions. Sunday, Backlash live reactions. So it's a stacked rest of the week, guys, and a lot of fun stuff coming. And by fun, I don't even necessarily mean the product that's being put out, but our consumption of said product. So yeah. Now that that's out of the way, just to get back to TwitWoW business, you can see all of the media we are involved in the description box. And also, now that we got these sweet backgrounds back, you can consult these as well. Everything we're associated with is on there. The only thing I don't see on these backgrounds is our Teespring store. So if you want to be repping that TwitWoW merch, or if you're really villainous and you like punting kittens across football fields because dogs are infinitely superior, you can get a Scum Squad t-shirt or mug or sticker. So yeah, that's all at the Teespring store and so much more. So guys, check that out.
I'm so proud of you for your cats versus dogs take. I wasn't even aware that you despised cats.
Actually, I don't.
John, I gave you credit. Don't make me take it back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so check out the Teespring store. Last thing I want to plug, because we are getting kind of down to the wire there, Q&A last Friday of every month, which means this month it will be Friday the 26th of May. So you guys still have 9 days, a little over a week, to get those questions in. The cap is 4 questions per Q&A, and you can divvy up those questions any way you like. Most common method is all 4 questions to both of us. But if you have a specialized question, like, for example, Ashton is a brilliant football analyst. So if you're like, hey, Ashton, what do you think about the Minnesota Vikings? He's more adept at answering that question than I am. And
I like the Vikings this year, too, so that would be an appropriate question to ask.
And then if you were to ask me, which I know, well, maybe Cliff would, because I know he's asked me stuff like that in the past. But if you were to be like, oh, what do you think of Kantian deontological ethics? That's more my wheelhouse because I'm the philosophy nerd.
Christ.
Yeah, exactly. You know what my life is. But yeah, that's in my wheelhouse. That's what I deal with on the day-to-day. So yeah, I mean, there are questions of specialized knowledge, or, I've gotten Johnny Scumbag questions, which I feel like they're making me sicker because I've actually reflected on the answers I've given, and I think about answers that I want to give, and I think I need help, guys, and I'm not even kidding this time. So
Oh,
yeah.
stop it. You've been getting help for years.
Yeah, that you know of. But so yeah, guys, if you have Johnny Scumbag questions, hell, I would love if once we got an Ashton Scumbag question. I know there's a sinister bastard in there. So yeah, don't be putting all the heat on me. Ask him, like, I don't know what he would do with Charlotte or whatever, or Natalia. I'm sure his mind goes to some dark places. So yeah, guys, any questions you want to ask, unless we tell you otherwise, we're very liberal with what you can ask us. I mean, James last month asked us about the Syrian refugee crisis, and then I went on a somewhat anti-capitalist rant. So yeah, you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a box of chocolates. So submit your questions, guys. I really enjoy these. You guys are so imaginative with your questions. And with that said, again,
And
just
while
one
we're
final...
talking about asking questions to our audience, I want you guys to let us know when we start doing Progress Wrestling, if you would prefer us to review the shows or live react to the shows. PW Gregory's in chat. I think we have a few other UK folks in chat. We are planning on covering Progress very soon, probably starting in June if I had to guess. But we want you guys to let us know whether we should do reviews of each chapter or live react to each chapter. Both are viable. Reviews will probably be quicker for you, but more difficult and take longer for us. Live reactions will take longer for you, but be quicker and easier for us. So, and by the way, Paul, I know you're listening, and we will be going live with our Progress content at 3 p.m. on Monday afternoons, which would be 8 p.m. Monday evenings for you over there in the UK. So we're trying to make it as convenient as possible for your UK fans. And yes, we just want to know whether we should do live reactions or just review the shows. We're going to be going through every chapter of Progress. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, like the collective existence that's producing this content. So yeah, guys, you know what's up. Progress coming down the pipeline. Should be a very interesting new addition to the channel. So with that said, guys, one final plug for the most immediate thing coming. TakeOver Chicago preview and predictions tomorrow. We go live at 8 p.m. We're going to run down the whole card, give our thoughts. What are we expecting? What outcomes do we think will ensue? What kind of ripple effect will this have on NXT going forward? All that good shit. Should be a fun time. So, guys, we hope you join us then. And until then, tune in and peace out.